AOC lashes out at Biden over border crisis. Even his own party's turning on him now. Here's a clip.
Turning now to the border crisis. President Biden taking hits from all sides. I wonder why, as his own party calls out the administration's immigration policy fails.
And perhaps the greatest act of hypocrisy, AOC criticizing the Biden administration. Despite the ongoing surge, the White House claims no one's done more to secure the border than Joe Biden.
Let's wire him up to a lie detector. Greg Jenkins joins us live from D.C. with the very latest. No chance of an actual polygraph, right?
I don't think so. I'll get back to you on that, Steve. Rachel and Brian, good morning. And Rachel, it's a stunning claim. We'll get to that in a second. But first, we got some numbers. The number of family units crossing our southern border reportedly reaching this all-time high. You see here, according to the Washington Post, there were 177,000 border apprehensions, of which 91,000 of those crossing were part of a family group. Now, that's more than we've ever seen before. It comes as Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pins the blame on President Biden and the federal government, telling the New York Times this, quote, immigration is arguably this administration's weakest issue. This is one area where our policy is dictated by politics, arguably more so than
even
any
she's
other.
saying this
AOC
now.
also calling it a crisis, something that the administration...
Because you in the far left is now like on Trump's side. This is how bad it's getting for the left. Like, who's going to stay with them? Like I've said in other videos, the black community in Chicago and New York are getting sick of it because all their communities, all over the streets, all over the sidewalks, everywhere is immigrants. They're just everywhere. And they're in schools. There's schools and their gymnasiums and everything. They're using schools, gymnasiums to house all these people coming in. It's insane. And what's scary about the family unit, what they're just talking about, that's terrifying because most of those people probably aren't really part of a family. These child traffickers do this stuff all the time. They bring these kids in. They're like, oh, it's my kid. And then they go and basically the kid is essentially sold into indentured servitude to pay off him going to come. They're basically like, they're basically like they're slaves. They're like, okay, you have to come work for us, and those kids can't do anything. They don't know English. Who are they going to go to for help? They're new to the country. This stuff is evil. Then people thinking, oh, let's let people come in because America's so great, but then at the same time hating America and hating everything about America, hating the national anthem and the flag. But then all these people want to come here, and they think they should be able to come here, but then who's going to pay for it? I just did a video. New York is like about to spend $10 billion a year for to house all the immigrants per year, and the infrastructure is falling apart. I saw this video on YouTube recently about one of these major arteries through New York, and it's just falling apart. They can't afford to fix it, but then $10 billion a year going to immigrants. And that's how Chicago is. Chicago is the same way. They had like a surplus, I assume, from COVID. They spent all that in a few months ago on migrants. It's insane. So what do you think these people that have lived their whole lives, they don't get handouts or anything. The infrastructure is always falling apart in these cities. And then they're like, wait, I pay all these taxes. I've lived here. I've been part of this community for my whole life. And they're like 50 or whatever. And now what happens? Immigrants come in, and then they just get all the money in a month. All of it's gone. It's just like these people are just, the left is losing so bad because they actually implemented these policies and everyone could see how bad they are. They did it for votes. Biden's like, oh, no, give us more votes most likely. So this is what we're going to do. Come on, man. It's going to get us votes. Come on. So that's what he goes and does. That's what he thinks. But then it's just like Nancy Pelosi thinks the same thing. Oh, it's against Trump. People are going to like us more. Look at where we're trying to help the asylum seekers. That's what they think. But then when it actually push comes to shove, people are like, okay, this is too much. We can't handle this. We should have listened to Trump. Well, and Obama said the same thing in like 2008. I think 2012, he said the same thing. Oh, no, we have to defend the border. But then Trump comes and says, build a wall. And everyone's like, oh, no, that's bad. And look at what that turns into.
Still refuses to do so despite the record-shattering numbers we keep seeing. In fact, the White House even says nobody's ever done more on the border than Joe Biden.
Yeah, for making it foul.
The president has done what he can from here, from the federal government,
ruin the border,
from the White House, to put forth and manage our border in a safe and humane way to respect the dignity of every human. The president has done more to secure the border and to deal with this issue of immigration than anybody else. He really has.
Really? Because the numbers are back to record levels. We're getting 7,000 a day now. And if you think about those families coming, why are all the families coming? Sources tell me it's to avoid expedited removals that mostly single adults are facing. And the fact, guys, that when a family claims asylum, only one of them has to have a positive adjudication for the entire family to be able to stay. So they're trying the strength in numbers approach. Steve, Rachel, Brian.
And those are the rules.
They're probably not even their
kids. Thank you very much for the live report. Of course, the White House says that this is an actual problem, but they don't blame Joe Biden and the policy he put in place on the first day. Instead, they blame the Republicans. They say it's these political stunts where they bust the immigrants out of Texas and send them to places like New York and Washington, and Philadelphia and Chicago, and now Los Angeles as well. Well, you know what? Now the rest of the country...
like I've said in other videos, so they want Texas to pay for it. I'm a Texan. I live in Austin. I'm like, I'm not for this stuff. I don't want people coming in. Like, the majority of Texans don't like this stuff. The majority of people in New York City do. You can go, you can handle them. $10 billion a year. Like, what's Texas's budget? I'll have to go check. I meant to do it last night, but I don't know. I didn't end up doing it. But yeah, it's like, what is Texas's budget? Like $100 billion or something a year? Is it even that high? It's like you spend it all on immigrants. Don't worry about anything with Texans. And with Texas, everyone was talking trash about the power grid a few years ago because of the winter storm, which, I mean, rightfully so. It should be better. But I blame that more on the private entities and whatever. But anyway, they want all this stuff and money to be funding the infrastructure. But then at the same time, they say that. But at the same time, no, house all these immigrants. Don't bust them up to New York. You pay for it. It's like, we don't want it. We don't want it, though. You want it. You can pay
for what Texas has been going through for a very long time.
Exactly.
People are catching up to it.
Well, this is probably why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is now pretending like she didn't like this open border policy, because now
she's
it's
a
come
liar.
to Brooklyn. Her own constituents are really ticked off about how it's impacting services and conditions in her own district. Of course, she lives in a fancy penthouse in D.C. most of the time. But here she is. If you look at this picture, remember, she was outside of a detention center during the Trump administration crying. She brought her camera crew, of course, to capture the images. And, she was so upset about detentions. Well, there are more detentions here in more people crossing over the border. By the way, in record heat this summer. God knows how many people have died along the way. We know that 80,000 children that she claimed to be crying over because they had been separated from their parents so that the Trump administration could determine if they were actually their parents indeed. 80,000 under the Biden administration we have no idea where they are. They have no idea what's happened to them. Some of them are in child labor in slaughterhouses across our country.
How crazy.
Working in fast food restaurants illegally. We've seen those kinds of arrests. But we also know that many
and the kids don't even get the money
into child sex trafficking.
I'm Steve Doocy.
Yeah, it's awful.
I'm Brian Kill.
Yeah, and those kids don't even get the money. They have to go work for free because they brought them here. And then the kids got paid. People paid them to bring the kids here, or they just took them to put them part of these families. It's awful. The kids probably would have been better off in their own their home country. But no, this is what AOC did. Yeah, she lied about it. Oh, this is the thing that all these leftists champion. It's not helping anybody. These people are just coming here and living on the street and can't even get jobs. So yeah, it's crazy. And they're like, oh, no, come. And they don't want to build the wall. The whole rhetoric of the whole left right now is like, no, don't build the wall. If you had the wall and they couldn't get in, they wouldn't be coming. If they know they can get in and seek asylum, they're going to bring a bunch of kids here and use them, for child labor or even worse, like that woman was just saying. It's insane. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe for daily news updates, smash that like button, share this video with your friends, and share your thoughts on the story in the comments below. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.